Have you ever thought about residing on an enormous battleship carrying thousands of passengers as the conflict rages all around you? This is the fact that sailors on airplanes carriers. These ships are not merely floating bases. They are mobile airports as well, crammed with combat aircraft, helicopters, and all the resources required to operate similar like a tiny city. However, what really happens when war breaks out occurs on board these. Let's investigate the arduous journey ships of the Navy News Network channel's sailors from racing to battlegrounds to the when and how fighter planes take off. The spacecraft is protected by sophisticated weapon systems. From the adversary dangers first, let's discuss life on. What are your thoughts on an aircraft kit? Months or even years without seeing land. Approximately 6,000 sailors are aboard. This needs enormous quantities of food, water, and ammunition to guarantee their functionality. Imagine spending a lot of time in a city at the ocean's center, with facilities include a movie theater, a gym, and even Starbucks. But resist the need to relax. Deceive you. Since the living circumstances on the ship is heavily dependent on your junior sailors, frequently share small shared restrooms and sleeping areas. Senior executives have their own chambers, and improved facilities. But the most valuable item on board is the feeling of unity that sailors have from come together on this global scale. Ship developing strong relationships that can endure a lifetime. But life isn't all that. While laboring, were you aware that an airplane carrier is open around the clock? Even as you sleep, you have hundreds of chores to complete. From ship upkeep to aircraft emergency response and operations, each sailor needs to maintain intense concentrate for a time of negligence could result in catastrophe, particularly in light of the ongoing danger of how does an aircraft carrier fare in a war? Getting ready for war might start to characterize it as a U.S. Navy. The purpose of an aircraft carrier is not limited to resist assaults, but to strike back with powerful force, such as the AO-1A radar system can monitor hundreds of targets, concurrently from rockets to adversary planes equipped with weapons systems such as Phelan Cs or Sea Sparrows. From a distance, the ship can neutralize dangers, guaranteeing the crew's safety and aircraft aboard. In addition to aircraft carriers, have a powerful air wing. Incorporating F-35C and Fa-18 Super Hornets Lightning IIs that offer accurate strike capability on hundreds of targets miles away, every component on board is made to function similarly to a mobile base from the capacity to generate more than 400,000 gallons daily supply of fresh water to the logistics systems that guarantee the ship's ability to function months without replenishment. For this reason, airplane carriers are not only representations of authority, but also floating strongholds that are always prepared to react to any danger that arises anywhere on the ocean prior to the ship leaving. Careful preparations are conducted utilizing cutting-edge technology to. Did you know that you were practicing tactics? Every aircraft carrier has top-notch radar and weaponry systems. Therefore, the U.S. Navy makes sure there are no dangers. But missiles are not the only dangers posed by opposing forces. Utilize airplanes to improve attacks as well, where the SP's 48 radar system is located. Participates with a range of up to. This radar provides the ship's 250-mile air wing enough time to install a defend yourself if you were a sailor on. How would you manage these on this ship? Difficulties. Would you be able to withstand the strain of ongoing combat? Regarding life aboard, please share your opinions and comment on this Navy page. Strength movie. Picture yourself adrift in the huge ocean where dangers originate from above and below the surface. How does the United States Navy keep the upper hand against each and every danger? One of the keys is found in the SP's 49 radar system is created to identify ships and other items on the surface of the water with a range of up to 200. This aids not only in identifying risks in time, but also guarantees avoiding traffic jams or crashes. What are your thoughts on technology, waters? For example, is it challenging to lead at sea? Radar by itself is insufficient for the U.S. Navy's aircraft carriers are actually floating, cities with unparalleled power examining. We observe the existence of the firearms on board, including rockets, firearms, and even contemporary. One of the most notable systems is the torpedo, the close-in weapon system of the THANKYOUs. Were you aware of this protective mechanism? Has 1,000 rounds per minute firing capability. Sufficient to eliminate approaching missiles and aircraft up close. It's similar to the final barricade shielding the vessel from... What do you believe if there are urgent threats? Would you trust you if you were the commander? This mechanism to safeguard the ships, did you know that this was automatic fate? Up to 4,500 rounds can be fired by the gun system. Every minute, this firewall may destroy drones, cruise missiles, and even tiny vessels up near in the past. They may be harmful, in our opinion. The THANKYOU research team is outfitted with a target who is extremely sensitive tracking radar and is completely functional. Automatically from detection to activation with its Vulcan Gatling gun, 20mm M61A bullet wall can be made with this approach, so swiftly that the naked can hardly see it. In relation to long-range firearms, we cannot ignore the Tomahawk. This cruise missile has the ability to hit targets that are sufficiently distant, up to 1,500 m, to assault throughout continents. What makes them unique? The Tomahawk's ability to be launched from several platforms, such as the surface ships, submarines, and even airplanes. What does that imply about a weapon, carriers? It is both strong and adaptable. Essential to preserving America's dominance prestige is more than simply guns. Additionally, the aircraft carrier is where the most cutting-edge military aircraft imaginable, standing on the flying deck and seeing a formidable FA-18 Hornet fighter plane equipped with supersonic weapons utilizing air-to-air missiles. The Earth and even bombs referred to as this aircraft's Rhino conquers the air and is capable of carrying. Miss, what are your thoughts on our ground strike? Would you pick the Hornet in combat or an alternative kind of aircraft? Consider the following for early threat detection. The E-2 Hawkeye is the US's eye in the sky. Navy's radar system is able to looking over the sky for hundreds of kilometers. The Hawkeye acts as a preliminary warning shield that aids the aircraft. The fleet and carrier get ready for any potential risk. The solution is found in the contemporary airplane communication systems carriers, such as the Integrated System for Voice Communication. This system, IVCs, links everyone on the ship via radios, phones, and even the most intense intercoms, fight circumstances in which an aircraft carrier is with more than 3,000 phones to guarantee a seamless. What are your thoughts on communication? Having so many people in a floating city. Feel free to share your communication equipment, your opinions in the comments section. Have you ever wondered what makes the following the aircraft carriers of the United States Navy operate so well that it's not only sophisticated technology, as well as the knowledgeable and competent crew picture? Thousands of individuals on an enormous ship, each has a specific function. However, they all collaborate to manage a city on water in the middle of the sea, and it's fascinating to note that one of them undergoes intense training, programmed to guarantee they're prepared to deal with each situation, from emergencies to, let's begin with pre-deployment, warfare. Did you know during training that every sailor go through a month of instruction prior to entering they are instructed in classes, use simulations to practice, and even attend. The training includes coastal facilities, including broad spectrum of abilities, starting with basic safety methods, such as employing firefighting apparatus and running life rafts, to managing emergency circumstances. These abilities aren't simply, they are hands-on in theory, because a minor error could result in serious consequences. Repercussions at sea. So what do you suppose it would be? Like to maneuver a huge vessel like an aircraft carrier in inclement weather circumstances. It's a problem that demands not just expertise but also smooth collaboration across the whole group of sailors in the navigation. The department has to be adept at using sophisticated radar systems, such as the systems for AI-1, GPS navigation, and even conventional instruments such as maps, and not only do compasses, but they also must possess the ability to plan ways to avoid calculating in dangerous waters. Weather forecasts, tides, and currents to guarantee the ship's safe operation. As for the engineering team, needs to understand how to control the propulsion system of the ship, air conditioning, and electrical systems. Everything is made to ensure the ship stays operating at peak efficiency, but do you believe that it's not the end of it? On board must be able to operate. Yes, all sailors are taught to use weapons, operate the anti-aircraft weapon system firearms to interceptor missiles. They additionally become proficient at coordinating with the ship's air wing for aircraft launch and recovery, especially in combat scenarios. Managing aviation fuel and weaponry demands extreme caution. An error could have disastrous consequences. Consequences are still another important consideration. Basic first aid is necessary for all sailors. They have received training in handling mass unfortunate circumstances due to the severe response time to the ocean environment is crucial. Have you ever thought about how would you treat a teammate who is seriously injured? At last, all training on the battlefield results in rigorous testing, such as written testing, practical assessments, and actual world simulations give you confidence that you could submit these tasks to participate in the crew of an don't be afraid to share aircraft carrier. Your ideas of how the whole team can be prepared at any time to confront an emergency, this is when the planning and intense training are actually put to the test. Keep checking back when the Navy News Network provides, we'll walk you through it. Next, consider a typical day on an abruptly transforming an aircraft carrier into an alert, with a whirlwind of strong activities. As the bells ring, sailors hurry to their conflict. Pilots at the flight deck stations swiftly get their equipment ready and make sure the weapon systems of the aircraft and prepare. What do you believe it would remove? What it's like to deal with this kind of tension where a knife hangs above everything border of the control center's command center. The tower becomes the main attraction. Arranging for the departure and arrival of aircraft in the meantime, the defense of the ship scanning is enabled for weapon systems. The horizon for missiles approaching or adversary airplanes simultaneously with the medical. The group is prepared to deal with casualties while the engineering team keeps checking systems of the ship to make sure everything is functioning properly. They fix and maintain and guarantee that the weapon systems are consistently at the top. The command team's performance is as occupied with speaking with other military personnel forces to organize a coordinated response. What do you think makes this coordination went so well in only minutes before a weapon is launched from an aircraft? Systems are prepared to activate upon receiving every sailor is in danger when some operating in their assigned place radar, while others are in charge of each missile. Of them entirely concentrated, although even in the most hazardous circumstances that every sailor faces, performs the things they are given without fail. They are aware that the slightest error might have major repercussions, which is why professionalism and self-control are essential on a carrier aircraft. If you concur that this is the height of accountability, depart a 1 in the remarks section below when combat mode is activated on the ship. Everything becomes ideal. One of the initial aims was collaboration, is employing weapon systems for air defense, such as missiles and firearms to combat airborne concurrent dangers. Advanced radars and all available sensors are used to safeguard the carrier in every circumstance. Consider sonar systems as a technological advancement. We may consider the ship's ear's capacity to recognize sonar for underwater sounds, not just locations adversary submarines, but moreover offers precise information to follow and find them. The ASQS-53 system, for example, is a kind using both passive and active sonar, is frequently utilized for escort and aircraft carriers vessels, with dozens of detection ranges. Miles, it can differentiate between submarines as well as natural undersea items when a danger has been detected. The aircraft carrier can deploy right away. Mk-46 or Mk-54 escort ship torpedoes or helicopters that combat submarines, such as the MH-60R Seahawk, will get rid of the defense. But it's not the aircraft carrier's mission also on offensive assignments, such as deploying planes to carry out bombing launches, missile attacks, or eliminates targets at sea and on land. Everything is well coordinated, utilizing the command center to guarantee the attacks are precise and successful. Do you consider the need to defend and assault at the same time? Might this be the crew's biggest obstacle faces to get ready for the worst situation? The damage control group is constantly available and prepared to react swiftly if the ship is struck or comes into contact with a malfunction. Have you ever pondered what permits the aircraft carriers of the U.S. Navy to continue to function even while under Therefore, the flawless have the key. Cooperation between specialist groups such as firefighting and damage control management of water damage and the chemical CBR squad, both biological and radiological. Every team has specific duties, but all strive for the same objective, making certain the ship is always prepared to fulfill its mission regardless of the difficulties. Another crucial element is logistics. Were you aware that each aircraft carrier is able to generate more than every day 400,000 gallons of fresh water? Its desalination system makes this possible. Guarantees a steady supply of water for the crew on extended missions that can endure for months. In addition to the water, the ship is additionally well stocked with food and weapons, and fuel were all handled in a strict supply chain. This readiness enables the aircraft carrier to continue its combat preparedness for prolonged periods of time without concern about running out of resources. But what takes place following the "is everything over now that the conflict is ended?" goes back to normal right away. The situation is considerably more complex if the circumstances aren't too dire. The commander of the ship will issue a stand-down order permitting the workers to go back to their daily schedule responsibilities. But if the ship has only endured an intense conflict, with the technical teams will carry out a comprehensive examination. From the weapon systems to the hull, and any damage to other vital components needs to be fixed right away, as a ship never knows when danger will strike. Arrive more severe situations if there are casualties. The medical staff on board will keep caring for the injured while carrying out a thorough assessment to make sure they get the appropriate after every inspection, repair, and after the therapy processes are finished, the ship will resume its regular operations. Operational state prepared to patrol a train may carry on with its "let's take a step back now" mission history to investigate among the most significant battles the U.S. Navy has ever took part in: the Gulf War, also referred to as Desert and Operation Desert Shield. During this conflict, a number of U.S. aircraft carriers were sent to the Persian Gulf, offering aerial assistance to carrying out airstrikes and using ground forces on Iraqi goals. These triumphs demonstrate that the U.S. Navy's groundbreaking involvement in combat circumstances at sea, from upgrading operational preparedness for aircraft and sailors for combat life on board a carrier aircraft during war, is never simple. But because of commitment, bravery, and hard labor, these enormous ships are not just accomplished their objectives while simultaneously protecting. In the illustrious history of the "Which U.S. Navy story most struck you?" most people leave comments with their thoughts. We would be delighted to hear from you below. If you find yourself captivated by the strength and advanced technology used by these vessels, remember to hit like and subscribe. Activate the alert bell so you don't miss any U.S. Navy-related videos. Your assistance on the Navy News Network channel encourages us to continue offering even more top-notch content. Join us as we keep reading through motivational tales of bravery and technological progress. I'll see you in the upcoming video, with more ocean secrets will come to light.